Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight, drivers get to test their skills for race number 6 as we head to the last great Coliseum, which we're expecting carnage, chaos, but entertainment as a whole here at Bristol. As the drivers are getting their last little bit of practice in, it's time for them to get prepared for the Larry Arts Production 3, as this is the third time Larry Arts Productions has sponsored this racetrack, and as well, it's a throwback race. It's Throwback 200 here at Bristol. We're proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, we got Zach Hall with me. Also have Rock Warrior running productions in the background. Zach, tonight, oh man, this field has already been causing a lot of drama. It's been stirring a lot of hurt feelings been stirred. But I think this might be another fire starter.
Yeah, this could be a perfect word for yourself there as a fire starter, because, man, this place here at Bristol, you never get away from your competition, first of all. You're never safe. Something's always around the corner lurking to mess up your race, or you have a mistake that messes up someone else's race. So there's going to be a lot of, I think, hurt feelings after this race. Probably some drivers a little bit upset, and some of that may carry over into these next few races. So, you know, we've already had somewhat of a, I would say, a spicy season already with some drama between a few drivers, you know, especially after the races are over. In Bristol, I think that brings it out more than any other track out there. So I think tonight could be one of those nights where some drivers leave here with a very upset feeling.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this season as a whole, we started things off at Daytona. Everyone knew it was going to be chaotic and dangerous, and it was at the very end. And then Homestead, you had Gaudio and Ethan Smith taking away their opportunity of winning at Homestead, with that of Cinder Connor stealing the win there. Gateway, you had a fiery end to that race. And then Sonoma might have been probably the calmest of all three, but there were still some sparks in between the field. And then Pocono was pretty bad last week for the timed event. Man, it just doesn't get much easier from here on out in the field, because we have tonight, then we go to New Atlanta next week, and then the track that's known for all the drama in this series, Las Vegas. So this is still a very crazy just start to the season, and we're just getting to the halfway marker of the regular season.
Yeah, this upcoming part of the schedule, it's going to really test how these drivers have their mental fortitude heading throughout these next few weeks. It's going to be very, very interesting, and some of that could linger over into those playoffs. So these drivers don't want any of that to happen, because you make enemies in the regular season, they could come back to bite you when you need them the most there in that playoff time. But man, this place here, the last great Coliseum, the world's fastest half mile, it's just a blur of a racetrack, and these drivers are going to really have to try to tame that here tonight. I expect early here, Sam, personally, in my opinion, I think we're going to see a good bit of carnage here to start it off, but I think as these trucks get torn up, we see that number of trucks drop down. We could see some great, better racing as the night goes on, but expect definitely some bent-up trucks and some hurt fenders out here tonight, because it's going to be all over the place at this half mile.
Yeah, one of the fastest half-mile courses in the world. High bankings, very fast lap times. We're going to be running this track for 200 laps. That's the regulation time that we're looking for, but it could go into overtime if needed. But Zach, I think the fun thing that's been, hearing from the drivers is their unknowing of how tonight's going to go. The last two seasons have been pretty consistent on how the trucks have reacted, how they've been running. But hearing from the drivers, I was throwing it out, hey, we've seen a lot of consistency those last couple of seasons. They're like, yeah, these trucks are completely different. And Zach, you got to watch a little bit of the practice race and hear a little bit more from that, but it just seems like tonight is a lot more unknowing than past seasons.
It definitely is, Sam. I tell you, from the last two seasons here we had Mark Whitley winning in the first season. They're dominating that race, leading all 150 laps. So just domination from him there. Then you had John Forbes winning last season in a barn burner with Ethan Smith leading the most laps in that race at 150, and then you also had Trevor Earhart have some heartbreak in that race too. And it was mostly a dominant track with the top groove. I think tonight we're going to see that top and bottom groove not really have a dominant way around. It's just going to be what way works best for you, and I think that's where the drivers are going to have to figure it out. But as we head into qualifying, this is one of the most important times to get yourself out in front of this field and outside of that carnage in the middle of that pack.
Yeah, we were kind of joking about it before we even went live of where would the safest place to be, and I think both you and I, Zach, were saying the lead might be the only safe place to be. If it's not the lead, it's pit road, because everywhere else could be a carnage spot for yourself. But in looking at how the qualifying's been, the fastest driver to watch out for has been Mark Whitley on the timer after missing out last week, after last season, excuse me. This 77 was wanting to get back into victory lane, wasn't able to do it last week at Pocono. He was this 13 once again. Last week it was based off skill, but kind of stealing away another win is that of Cedric Hunter, and he's trying to get his third of the season potentially here tonight.
Yeah, here coming on his qualifying lap here, a 15:062 on that first lap. We'll see if he can pick it up, as Mark Whitley has put down the quickest time so far from what we've seen, a 14:76. Looks like Cedric Hunter going to go a little bit slower on the second lap too, so not a great lap there for the 13 last week's winner. We'll jump to his teammate there, who's right now third on the board with his first lap. We'll see what the second one can equate to. But from what I'm looking at so far here, Sam, it's looking like that first lap going to be the money lap here with the tire wear starting to kick in.
Yeah, one of the drivers that we're going to have to watch out for, Nick Crawford, going to be that third fastest Ethan Smith, who's just about to start his lap, as here's the 8 going to be seeing that of Noah Steele after a pretty decent run for himself last week, hoping for a better one. But a driver we haven't seen for a while, it's going to be Zach Wilson in the 51, about to start his first lap here tonight.
And, he had a strong run there at Gateway. Missed the carnage late in that race, ended up on the podium. And, a short track, it's, somewhat similar, I guess you could say, carnage-wise to Gateway. Maybe he could be looking to position himself for something like that here tonight. But we'll see what he's able to do here in qualifying. Is right now, great time already from that first lap. It's going to put him third on the board. As Ethan Smith, as I say, that's going to take the top time there, Sam. And, man, that's a huge statement from that 00.
And Zach Wilson's going to bounce off the wall on coming to his final time lap. That's going to be invalidated, so he'll have to stick with that first lap. That's fourth, not the worst place to be. Here comes Tom Bourne now, going to be starting off his qualifying. This is his first lap about to be clocked in, but Ethan Smith, what a lap for himself. And Ethan Smith, all throughout practice, all that I was hearing from that 00 is I want to beat Mark's time. All throughout practice, he is marching and wants to beat out that 77. And you would think, it's one of those races where Ethan Smith led 150 laps from last season, but finished second, wasn't able to get the win. It was Mark Whitley that dominated that first season's Bristol race, leading to all 150 laps. So it's kind of going to be the duel between those two drivers, unless they wipe themselves out, as Trevor Earhart starts to get rolling here for qualifying, as we got ourselves a minute and 45 seconds left here tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that both these drivers coming in here tonight, have led 150 laps when it comes to this speedway here in this league. I mean, both of them doing it in different races now, but whoever's going to lead that first lap will be able to take that lead in the lead lap count here at Bristol and be the driver who could say they've led the most here. But they're not going to be too worried about that stat. They're going to be worried about the win column stat, and I think that's where the 77 of Mark Whitley, he's going to be looking to get that first one of the season and kind of get that monkey off the back, because he couldn't, start the season like the rest of these guys. Had to miss the first couple races due to starting park. It's going to take him a little bit of time, I think, to get into a rhythm, but last week he just showed already out the gates he's going to be a top contender once again here.
Mark Whitley, who was battling with Vincent Sora so much, the rivalry, that's kind of what carried that whole entire first season. Then had to step away, raced in a different league for the second season, and now has come back. That 77 is looking for redemption, but I feel like that could be said for a lot of other drivers coming into this season. I mean, Ethan Smith, the one driver that has made it to all of two of these last two seasons, final four. He's trying to make it 3 for 3 if he can do it this season. But that 00, there's a lot of pressure, I think, internally and out, and also externally, on how that 00 is going to react, as it looks like Trevor Earhart was only able to get one lap in. That's going to be 18th for now after brushing the wall. And with 18 seconds left here, Zach, no one else is showing signs going out there on track. But a driver we haven't talked about, going to be 9th on the board, John Forbes, won this race last season. He's hoping he's going to have a little bit of the same luck here tonight as well, but he's going to be a little bit deeper in the field than you really want to be.
Yeah, he's going to be deeper than he wants to be for sure, but won both Bristol races here last season, because we had one race with the dirt, so it went back to back. So we'll see. Can he look to go 3 times in a row here at Bristol, technically, and we'll see if he can get it done. But 9th is going to be tough for him to get done for.
Well, a week of hard practicing, late nights for some of these drivers, and this is where they're going to start out here tonight for the Larry Art Productions Throwback 200. It's going to be taking the pole award, Ethan Smith for the 00. That'll be his second pole. He got here last season. He does it again this season for season 3. Mark Whitley's going to be in second place with Tom Bourne in third. Thomas Green's going to be in fourth with Zach Wilson in fifth. And Jonathan Smith will take 6th place with Nick Crawford 7th. That of Eric Stamp in 8th, John Forbes 9th. And finishing out your top 10 here for qualifying, it's going to be that of Ryan Ferraro as your qualifying sponsor is Lap Lap. Go check out Lap Lap on Instagram.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 21 of Kyle Rochelle. 12th is going to go to Danny Cochran. 13th is going to be Noah Still in the 8 machine. 14th is going to be the 5 of Dakota Moniz. 15th is going to be Logan Breaky. 16th is going to be Gregory Shaw. 17th is going to go to Ali Fonseca. 18th is going to be the 41 of Trevor Earhart. 19th is going to go to Gregory Smith. And rounding out our top 20, it's going to be Isaac Shelley in the 98.
Then in 21st is going to be that of Aaron Kralik in the 01. Then it's going to be Cedric Hunter in 22nd. That of Jason Tamer in 23rd. Carl Puller is going to be in 24th. Cody Reed in 25th with Jarrett Talmadge 26th. Brandon Colley 27th. 28th is going to be Nolan Hicks with Mark Morales 29th. And finishing out your top 30 will be that of Kerry Tribune.
And the final 3 trucks on the field here tonight are going to be Joshua Freed, Tyler Dingler, and Robert Hattenbach as that rounds out our field.
As the driver is about to get rolling here, a couple of them will be starting with EOL penalties. Last week, a lot of penalties were given out and 2 suspensions were given. That of GT Irizarry after retaliating to that of Christopher Norris will be given a 1-race suspension, and as well for Christopher Norris. He was given a 1-race suspension after making the contact with the 14. And then there were a lot of other drivers with just a EOL to start this race off. So we're going to be having that of Nolan Hicks, Brandon Colley, Jared Talmadge, and Cody Reed all starting in the back due to various different penalties from Pocono.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough ordeal to start out back here early in the going. But, you know, personally, I'd rather be out back in the very back rather than right in the middle around the 20th position. So definitely going to have to try to survive back there for those guys who got those penalties, Sam. But, man, if they can, they'll be able to possibly find a way with some track position with a few drivers who find their way into that carnage. But we'll see how it all kicks off here tonight. Remember, got to get that to that stage at lap number 90, and we'll see who can get it done because it's going to be a wild one here at the last great Coliseum in the world's fastest half mile here in Bristol, Tennessee.
It's the biggest field that ISRC has ever had in its 3 seasons here at Bristol. Season 1 was 23 drivers. Season 2, we had 31 drivers. Here tonight, taking the grid, 33 in total, with Ethan Smith and Mark Whitley going to be taking those top spots to see how they're going to be starting out here tonight. It's Bristol. It's the last great Coliseum. It's one of the hardest places to avoid carnage, but who's going to get it done here tonight? For the Larry Art Productions, it's the number 3 version of this race. Who's going to get it done? Let's find out as it's throwback night for that of the Bristol 200, where green, Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, equal heading into turn number 1.
What a dead even start between those two. Whitley going to have the outer groove here, possibly the advantage as they head down the back straightaway, nosing ahead here as they enter into 3. And I think they're wrecking as Smith goes around in the back is 2.
And Mark Whitley, they both get contact. It's a mayhem. Oh no, they cannot stop in time. More drivers piling into others. They won't stop. Why aren't they stopping? I don't know. But it went from the start. Our front 2 both lost it. Lap 1, turn number 4. This is when the Race Car Graveyard gets its sponsorship right, as that is your first big one here just to start it off. Zach, I mean, you don't really think that your front 2 are going to spin out. Ethan Smith got the worst of it, but man, already a ton of drivers with required damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers, all were just given the required damage flag.
Yeah, we're going to check this little bit out of what was going on here after that. And I mean, you have cars on top of each other. I mean, it is carnage, Sam. I don't know exactly where that all started, but I mean, Ethan Smith and them were having their woes up front, but I think it all started personally possibly around the 12 and in that area, maybe Kyle Rochelle in the 21 actually.
Well, it's going to be first Ethan Smith spins, and then everyone else follows suit. Mark gets clobbered by Tom Bourne, and for Tom Bourne, he was just trying to survive the best that he could. He's all the way back. I mean, Ethan Smith from the lead back to 30th in a blink of an eye. I mean, that is crazy to think.
This is yeah. I mean, we talked about this before the race started. I talked about it with a few drivers even as we're gonna look at this is exactly what happened up front here. But they had a lot of people had feelings this was going to possibly happen here early in the going. And man, I don't think they had a feeling that big of one was going to happen because, you had this happening and then also the incident behind, and it just created two massive wrecks.
Here's him, Ethan Smith. He's sliding, he's slipping. Mark then loses it coming off the exit, but then the overcorrection right back in to the 15, which then clobbers into other drivers. And then there's that second pack you were talking about that closes in behind. And just for our leaders, I mean, that's just our front 8. All were involved in that wreck, and about that is 6 or 7 drivers all ducked into pit road just to avoid that carnage. As more drivers coming into pit road, but those with required damage, that of Thomas Green, Kyle Rochelle, Danny Cochran, Ethan Smith, Logan Brakey, Gregory Shaw, all were given required damage flags, and they're going to be in pit road for quite a while. But in total, Zach, of all drivers that had to come into pit road at some point to either avoid the wreck or right now just got service under this pacing, 1, 2, 3, and about out of 15th on back, all had to come into pit road for some reason. And whew, well, that's a way to start out the last Coliseum for a night.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, that is a crazy start. And, we talked about the guys getting penalties starting out back. You got Nolan Hicks, Brandon Colley, they're 11th and 12th now. They started dead last in this race pretty much, along with Joshua Freed up to 9th there from 31st. That just shows you, man, that middle portion of this pack here at Bristol, it is so dangerous to be in. And, man, there's going to be some drivers really questioning tonight's, and already Ethan Smith, our pole setter, out of this race, pulling his car behind the wall.
I mean, Jonathan Freed up 22 positions and just one lap in carnage. Drivers have to come into pit road. Oh, well, let's try it again. Up front, Mark Whitley's still there, and it's going to be Tom Bourne to his outside. Then it's going to be that of Jonathan Smith, Zach Wilson, that of Nick Crawford, Eric Stamp going to be your top 6. We're green, and Mark Whitley, given no regard, he's gone.
Yeah, no time to be wasted there. He says, I need to get out of here before someone gets on my inside again, because that is how his incident kind of happened. It was Ethan Smith just losing it underneath him now. Going to be able to lead this lap cleanly here, and we'll see how these guys can navigate Bristol here as we try to get some green flag laps under our belts after a huge wreck that is shooking up the whole entire perplexion of this race.
Oh, it's throwback night, but a few drivers might not get the camera time that they were hoping for, as a lot of drivers single filing out and finally in line. A little bit of passing action might be seen back for that of 8th place. You see it on screen here. Ollie Fonseca, Nolan Hicks going to be side by side for themselves, as well as in front. Going to be our Daytona winner, that of Eric Stamp, trying to pressure Noah Steele. And, Zach, it's you don't usually see wrecks like that to start a race off, but that also can be a clear sign to all the other drivers. All right, well, we just lost everybody. Let's take a deep breath, calm, and maybe we can stay green to the very end of this race from here on out until we get our stage break at lap 90.
I'm telling you, as drivers, a wreck like that will put your tails between your legs because it'll make you turn around and say, I do not want to be involved in any of this anymore. Just see how many drivers got taken out from one simple incident on lap 1. It'll make everybody definitely think about what they do from here on out. But as those laps start to trickle away, the green flag laps start to kick in, and they run more and more of these, drivers start to forget that, and they get a little bit more aggressive. So I think we'll see a little bit of green flag action here with that big wreck there, but don't expect it for too long. Bristol at some point will creep up and bite.
Well, you said settle down, don't have too much aggression. Well, Eric Sam says otherwise. He is making that outside lane work, but then has to duck it down low. Got a little bit wiggly there. Got to be careful, as well as that of Nick Crawford, Nick's been kind of on the passive approach, has not been very aggressive, kind of letting other drivers go, which has been an interesting thing to be hearing from the drivers. A lot of them talking about potentially saving their tires. Some were not feeling as comfortable and confident on saving. Others said, you know what, maybe I'll just let everyone go so then I'll have a better long run pace. But at the moment, I like this call by the 4 as long as he doesn't get spun around, because like I said at the top of the broadcast, there is nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide, no doubt indeed. And he's being pretty aggressive there, trying to cover off that 8 and hold on to what he's got. Yeah, that saving aspect here at Bristol, such a huge factor. This concrete high bank surface.
Oh no, backstretch 0-1, gonna be back in 17th place. Sarah Kralik almost wiping out Carrie Tribune and others. And the 0-1 luckily kept it straight. A big scare for them, as luckily gonna be out of the way of everyone else for a quick moment as we go back up to the battle for that number 4 machine and Nick Crawford for 9th, but everyone is freaking out. I mean, even Joshua Freed just stuck it down low and says, you know what, I'm out of here. I don't feel confident anymore up front.
Yeah, I think if you guys, like I said, they're trying to get out of this business here. Close action there. I think that's Gregory Shaw down there on the bottom line getting past as he's got that truck very, very hurt there. But yeah, the saving the tires here can be a huge factor, man. This place, oh man, Carl Polar up and out of these guys in the 71 has a moment. Is trying to say these tires are really tough to save, but this place is a place where you want to do that because we could have some tire wear issues. I know a few guys have talked about if we go long into the run, they're going to be worried about possibly even cutting the tire down.
This is a big thing to watch out for, as it's going to be seen side by side. That is going to be Smith, Jonathan Smith, and also Nick Crawford. Crawford makes the pass. It's going to be moving up to that of 8th. Here comes Brandon Colley trying to make some moves. And a driver that was given an EOL penalty for the 94. He's now climbed up to that of battling for 9th with that of Smith. And all the different lines. I mean, the inside lane looks good at moments, but like we were talking about there for a quick moment before we started going green for this race, all the different lines really are viable. It just matters on where your tire state seems like they're at.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Sam. You can really make anything work. It's just not over that line that you're using. You try not to overwork the tires and make them where you'll struggle, because overworking the right front here, all it does is just really make this truck not want to turn, and it pushes straight up towards that wall. You can't get back in the gas and get the runs down these straightaways. And drivers are able to easily make passes on you when you start to get tight here. So a lot of drivers trying to manage that right front tire and keep it underneath them for the majority of this run. But the tough thing about it is you look at it, Mark Whitley, up front already, he's pulling out a gap. You got to look back all the way to 21st to Dakota Maniz. He's right there on the tail end of the lead lap in that 5 machine, already going a lap down. Mark Whitley putting down a really impressive pace and starting to really put a lot of guys a lap down.
It's an impressive pace, but with the pace comes the never-ending roller coaster, because you might be catching up to the tail end of lap traffic, you're passing them, you're feeling confident, just one driver after another. But that pack that we were seeing for Nick Crawford and them, if we stay green, Mark Whitley at his pace is starting to close in on that group. And if he catches the tail end, that's putting the leader right back in the middle of chaos. And Mark Whitley's got to be careful, as we can take a look here at Zach Wilson, who's just puttering along right now in just hoping to survive this race. He's in 3rd place currently. He's catching up to that lap traffic that Tom Bourne is now working through, as this is the battle for 2nd that we're seeing from the 16 and the 51 on screen. And I gotta say, Zach, this is obviously not the way we expected this race to go, but now we're getting into more of that traditional Bristol of, it can't really look away. It is constant chaos everywhere.
That it is. Look right here, this traffic here with the lap cars ahead of Zach Wilson's really starting to stack things up as Bourne is trying to get through. He's going to get by the 5 now also, and it's going to stack that whole group up there. You got Eric Stamp, Nolan Hicks, all of them right there on top of one another. And, Eric Stamp there in that 4th spot, he ran 4th here last season. So Eric Stamp looking to carry, again, a good run from then to here now as that 53 continues to make up time.
To try to make up time the best that they can. As now Mark has been able to get through a lot of lap traffic, and that lap traffic now is going to be a factor for a lot of these other drivers. Eric Stamp ran in 4th place at 53. Talk about throwback schemes, running that of Jim Johnson traditional scheme for the 53. There's some drivers making jokes. Hey, if you're running the 53, throwback of the Lowe's machine, you better be up front racing for a win. Well, I think Eric Stamp might be running a little bit quicker than he was expecting to see in 4th place, with some of those top contenders being wiped out in our first big one on lap number 1.
Yeah, he's definitely licking his chops right now, is saying, man, I got a chance for this here, as he's running in this top 5 position here with Hicks right behind him. Still not too far behind this group. Look at that, the 8 to 51. Wilson looking to contend here for the 2nd position with Tom Bourne, who's trying to work his way through traffic, but I think Tom Bourne, he's dealing with a little bit of damage there. That nose not looking too great, and I gotta say, for what he's doing right now, he's making it look very, very good for having all that damage to keep that truck out front.
Yeah, that damage, might be wondering where it came from. It came from that first big wreck. When Mark Whitley got sideways, Tom Horn was trying to slow down. The 77 just drifted right in front of the 16, and that's where he got the nose damage. Ground was right into Mark Whitley, our leader. But getting rear end damage compared to front nose damage, you'd rather be on Mark Whitley's side. To see Eric Stamp now trying to put the pressure on Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Stamp once again, trying to make something happen, but the thing about Bristol, you try to make something happen when you're stacked up on each other. Hicks goes to the bottom trying to take advantage of that in the 86, and that's where this place can turn into a momentum-style race. If you run up onto your competition, you can't get the run on that person right. The driver behind you can make something happen, and it's stacking everybody up here. Here comes the 8 into the picture. It looks like Nick Crawford's starting to fall back a little bit from as Brandon Colley tries to gain on him too.
It's a bunch of different pods throughout this field. I think there's about 6 of them of all different varying sizes of 3 drivers battling one another into 6 drivers like you see on screen, all battling for position with black traffic mired in between all of them. The only driver that is in a comfortable spot currently is actually our leader, Mark Whitley. He is comfortable right now. He's got a good gap between himself and the drivers behind and those in front. The 77 is about to close in on the tail end of a lot of these different clusters I was talking about, which could get dangerous as we continue to watch the battling for 3rd, 4th, and more. Contact Stamp giving it to Wilson, and that little bit of a bump might have helped the 51 closing in on the 16 now.
Yeah, look, it pushed him forward pretty well there. That was a nice little boost. And look at this run here off the corner. It's going to allow Wilson to get back to the inside, but he's going to think of it, slide back up. And I was watching this group here. A lot of good lap times being ran by drivers like Nick Crawford there in the 4 machine. Also, Brandon Colley matching almost the 77's pace, but it's these drivers up ahead of him. His Stamp's going to get a little bump for the 4, and that's going to bring the caution out.
Another driver's going to slow down, hope they don't run into one another, and luckily no more ARCA braking after that contact as Crawford gets into Eric Stamp, and for Eric Stamp, he'll be back in 8th place, getting rolling for the 53. So now the question for Nick Crawford is, the only bad thing about making contact with someone here at Bristol is you can easily get back with someone, especially when they're going to be right on your tailpipes.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think that right there really kind of a little bit of a chain reaction there. It looks like the 51 kind of got into the corner a little hot, had to check it up in the center of the corner. That caused the 53 there to really have to back it down himself. And then from there, Nick Crawford running a little bit lower line, just caught that rear end and sent him around. So, yeah, it was definitely interesting. But I think pit road about to be a busy, busy place here with these tires being very torn up. But a lot of drivers got to focus here now. This is a single pit road, and you enter off of turn 2. Not normal to what we normally do.
Into pit road comes the field. A couple of drivers might be thinking otherwise, and that's actually going to be seeing Joshua Freed decide to stay out as the rest of the field going to be coming into pit road. Tires, fuel, no surprise, as we're halfway through stage number 1, and tires-wise, drivers were given 4 extra sets to work with in pit road, so this is going to be at least taking one of those sets. But Zach, I'm curious, with some of those drivers showing some tightness levels, we've seen it at other concrete tracks, 2 tires, do you think that could be a strategy to see, as our favorite driver to usually be known as the 2-tire king, Ethan Smith, is out of this race?
Yeah, he's out of it, so personally, the way the lefts wear here too, how bad they wear, also compared to the whole scheme of things, I think rights might not be a good option. It may be, though, if you have a short 15-lap, 20-lap run to get a little bit more rotation in that truck. But from what we've seen, the cold tires are a little bit dangerous too, so it could give you that little bit of a sensation where you can't launch those first 2 laps and be under jeopardy of getting overtaken there right off the start. But interesting strategies being played is really what I'm seeing here, Sam, because with it looks like Freed and the 13 of Cedric Hunter here staying out. This is a risky call, man. People elect to do this here to save the tire, but you got to think Bristol is only about a 15-second lap here. If you are, just a little bit off the pace here when it comes to tires, you can quickly go laps down here, and we still have to get to lap 90. If we were to go green till the end, I don't think these guys would stay on the lead lap, and it seems like now Freed has come in, and it's only Cedric Hunter, so he's going to be the lone driver doing this.
I mean, it's not the worst thing to do. This is, if you're going to try something risky, this is the time to do it. If we're halfway through stage number 1, test to see what the tires are truly like difference-wise. But, yeah, this is a very gutsy call from Cedric Hunter. But Here's the thing, he's got 2 wins already this season. Cedric Hunter's second in points. His top competitor that he was worrying about, Ethan Smith, already out of this race. Trenton Jump, not here. Dakota Moniz not showing the best run. I mean, why not try something risky that we're about to see here right now?
Yeah, it's going to be risky for sure. I mean, and if he does get, a caution or something after 10 to 15, 20 laps here, he will look very, very smart. But like I said, if it stays green, he's going to be in a world of hurt. This is going to be a big difference when it comes to tires here.
Well, it's time to see how the strategies are going to go down. A few drivers had to stay in pit road for a little bit longer, so that of Mark Whitley will fall back to 3rd place. Zach Wilson coming out of the pit road first of all those drivers. Cedric Hunter is going to be deciding to stay out on this restart, so the 13 going to be in the prime position, trying to get a great launch for himself. Tom Bourne, that was battling for 2nd place before that yellow came out, he has now fallen all the way back to 16th. Talked about that nose damage, decided to get it repaired, and now he's going to be stuck in the hornet's nest on this restart, as we are now left with a total of just 21 drivers on the lead lap. And that of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers out of this race. Carl Pooler, Ethan Smith, Thomas Green, Danny Cochran, and Logan Brakey all were torched under that first lap big one that struck. Now it's time to see fresh rubbers back on these tires. Will we see another restart with a big one? Time to find out as the pace car rolls off. Cedric Hunter down below and ready to go. We are green once again for the Larry Art Productions Throwback 200.
There he goes, launching off pretty well there for the 13, but I think quickly you're going to see that 51 get to the outside, and these drivers are all going to look the train by, but the 51 loose on the cold tires, and we're seeing the cold sensation here. Everybody getting loose.
They're spinning, they're sliding. We stay green. Luckily, it was Hatback. Nope, Hatback goes around, and a little bit more contact with Zach Wilson, as well as that Mark Whitley. And well, let's try it again, shall we, Zach? Cold tires, most dangerous lap to be on.
Yeah, that is showing to be a factor right now. And, you get so used to driving that truck each and every lap, sending it in there. And when those tires are warm and you have those cold new tires, you think this is going to be the fastest point of the run here. I'm going to be able to really make this truck happen. And no, it does not work like that. It's just super slick right to start off. And you got to be able to hold yourself back just a little bit. And Wilson there, just a little bit over too eager, sliding that truck and going to be able to slide back here, it looks like, to around 5th.
I mean, really, for that of Wilson, you can kind of see visually what he was trying to do. Try to get back into the throttle, rip it on the outside to try to get by Cedric Hunter. But the grip level, I mean, if anything, we're starting to notice it takes 2 laps for these tires to fully be warm, so you've got that grip to truly send it. Because if you go on that first lap, there's just not enough heat in the tires for it to stick to this concrete, which that's another factor. This concrete's so different from the asphalt at other tracks that we go to.
Oh, it is completely different. This thing is night and day when it comes to surfaces. I mean, it would be comparable to, just really like almost like a completely different thing than asphalt. Is almost like dirt racing. It's just completely different. You got to take the concrete surface as a completely different aspect. You have these caution laps that usually picks up the rubber off the racetrack and doesn't usually tend to put a lot of rubber in the racetrack like asphalt tracks do. So it's always tough and tougher on the tires due to that. So this plays not only tough on the drivers mentally with it being so fast and just so, each and every time it feels like you're constantly turning left and the straightaways and you have no time to breathe, but also the Goodyear tires are also taking a beating.
As these drivers get to have their little bit of breath and breathe under the pacing, that relentless feeling, Zach, it doesn't stop just tonight. Next week and the week after that, that relentless feeling of constant pressure and drivers on top of one another continues again, as we're still halfway here, a little bit over halfway for our first stage of this race. But Zach, next week, something completely new and different. The newly paved and technically mile-and-a-half super speedway of Atlanta is our next destination.
I'm nervous for these guys heading into that, man. That place, it's a whole new beast. I mean, we think about Daytona, Talladega, the super speed racing that we get there. And, a lot of people want to compare it to Atlanta. I don't see it very comparable. I mean, yes, at the same time, you're using the draft and you're in a pack. You're utilizing all similar things. But Atlanta in itself just has such a more difficult task, way less wide. The track is very, very narrow. And then not only to that, but just the aspect of it only being a mile and a half, it just makes it so much harder to be able to run wide open in a pack. You'll see drivers having to lift a little bit here and there, and yeah, if these drivers are worried about being on top of their competition and not having much room to spread out, well, they got a couple weeks of it here in store for them as the ISRC Truck Series continues on through its regular season.
And then after Atlanta, we go to Las Vegas, which I talked about being the track that notoriously brings out the worst of drivers. And poor Danny Cochran, that's the racetrack where a lot of his woes and blemishes have really shown the most. We'll see if he wants to take that crown, because what happens in Vegas sometimes doesn't always stay there. And for a lot of these drivers, I hope the madness that happens here tonight, Bristol stays at Bristol. But we're ready to go back green flag racing as Cedric Hunter takes us down into turn number 1 as Mark Whitley side by side with Hicks. And Hicks needs to get going because he's getting a fabulous block. And there goes the 86 to the outside.
Great move by Nolan Hicks there. He's seen the opportunity with the truck on older tires. Made it happen. Mark Whitley was thinking about making it 3 wide, and I got to give Mark Whitley credit.
The 3 wide, they're wrecking behind. Ollie Fonseca got to be spun around, and they weren't 3 wide for the lead, but the ARCA breaking further back. Oh no! Slow down. They won't, and more damage going to be ensuing as Ollie Fonseca and 3 wide madness was the catalyst of this one. 4th caution of the day, and I mean, for Cedric Hunter, maybe you want to go in pit road.
Man, oh man, that was definitely carnage there with that 3 wide moment of Fonseca getting sent around. But yeah, Eric Stamp, nowhere to go for him. That was so unfortunate for him. And then, like you said, the rest of the crew just piling in. It doesn't seem like anybody got too much damage from the ARCA braking going on there. But yeah, definitely some drivers not getting the memo that they were wrecking up front in front of them.
Oh, absolutely not. I think a lot of drivers having major issues. I think Jason Tamer might have been the worst of them, trying to slow down, or a lack of slowing down, I should say.
Yeah, he definitely tried, but didn't get it mowed down enough. So maybe a little bit more effort into it next time, and they'll get it there. But yeah, that was a wild moment, and Bristol continues to be Bristol, man. This is a place where, again, it could happen anywhere. We've seen it happen from anywhere from the lead all the way to the back of this field, and there's really just no safe spot here. So right now, with all these cautions, I tell you, like I said, Cedric, I didn't like the strategy. I didn't like, staying out on the older tires. I didn't think that was going to be very smart of him here because, we've seen a decent run there before. But with these yellows continuing to show up, this is really helping that 13 not have the bad troubles of those older tires here, and saving him a set for maybe later in this race if these cautions continue where he can utilize them.
As we got a new cluster of drivers that are going to be out of this race, going to be Jason Tamer and Eric Stamp, both going to be given EOL penalty. I mean, they're both going to be getting themselves required damage penalties to both their machines with blown engines. Going to be in pit road for at least that of 10 to 30 minutes on this go around. Well, lap 60, Zach, we still got 30 laps to go before our stage break's done, and we're not even at a halfway marker of this whole entire race yet.
No, we are not, my friend. Indeed, it's looking to be a pretty interesting one where at any point it's going to be someone's game. And I can tell you, we talked about the very first race here at Bristol. Mark Whitley led every single lap, all 150. That ain't happening tonight. So it's going to be a little bit more of a mixed up bag, I think, here with our drivers, with just all different types of strategies going on and different types of agendas with these cautions happening. And it's going to be a fun one to stay tuned to, folks out there. So make sure you stay with us for the rest of the night, because whoever wins this, they're going to go through some trials and tribulations.
Well, I know we usually like to have fun with the chat, putting in different polls. Well, this might be a new one we might want to try to put in. How many cautions do we think we're going to have? And, right now we're at 4. My range originally, I was trying to put a very low, maybe optimistic, too optimistic of a look, was around that of 7 to 8 cautions. I think we might be closer to 10 cautions we might be need, or will we be over 15? Because the way that tonight's going, we might be down to just 5 drivers if we have up to 12 to 15 cautions, but you never know what we might get by the end of the day as drivers are stacked up, ready to go. It's going to be that of the 86 on the bottom for that of Nolan Hicks. Top side in the black and red, it's Mark Whitley. Then we got Cedric Hunter on the old tires. Going to be second driver on the inside. Then that of Brandon Colley going to be on the outside. Who's going to get it done here at Bristol? First, we got to get to lap 90. That's our stage break, and we are already green with Hicks immediately taking off and trying to defend. But the question has to be from third on back. How slow will the third team be reacting to everyone around him?
Yeah, he's just going to have to look to really stay patient here and hold his line. Everybody's going to be looking to conveyor belt around the outside here as the 13 just holds the bottom, and quickly everybody looks to get by on those new tires here, as it just shows. Even with the cooldown phase, those tires just not up to speed with the newer ones, as he continuously drops back as Forbes up front trying to make something happen on Kyle. He had a little bit of a slide there in that 11 machine.
Yeah, almost came out of turn number 4 completely sideways and ready to bring out a yellow, but luckily was able to hold on. But here comes now to Nick Crawford in the 4 trying to close in. The battle for third place is what we're talking about. Well, up front, Hicks and Whitley pull away and hope to have a dominant run, which is so bizarre to look at. Nolan Hicks, who started back in 28th, now leading this race, our biggest mover so far. And then battling side by side is Brandon Colley, who had an EOL, with John Forbes, our winner from last season, trying to make a closing charge to get back up front.
Yeah, John Forbes there diving to the outside. Looks like he will get the pass done, as Brandon Colley's going to slide back to the 4th position there. As this Noah Steele and Nick Crawford there battling for position. Also, you're also going to have the 17th Jared Talmadge, who's rebounding from a penalty also. So drivers who have had penalties all up here in this top 7.
Talked about maybe getting those EOL penalties could have been a saving mark for them. Being placed in the back, able to avoid some of these big wrecks, place themselves further up, and now able to just battle things out. And then behind these drivers, we got the 16 of Tom Bourne, who was 2nd place running, had to get some repairs put on the 16. He's every single pit stop has had to get a little bit more and more damage repaired. He's still feeling that hurt, but Tom Bourne doing a quite well job in 8th place, trying to make a pass here in Noah Steele. As Nick Crawford, he's got his eyes set on that at Brandon Colley for that 4th place position.
Yeah, he does have his eyes set there, as we got him on the driver cam here, as Nick's going to head down to turn 1. He's got the 17 Talmadge all over him here, trying to make something work for that 17, but the 4 trying to focus forward and get that 94, his teammate, up ahead. But Talmadge coming so close there to the center of the corner as the 4 drives away on exit.
He's got to be careful because the 4 machine's got a bunch of meerkats wandering around. That could be dangerous as well. A little bit of distractions as he is rolling right now in 5th place. Is that a Nick Crawford? But Talmadge closing in as well. And all the different clusters now, a lot more spaced out are these drivers. But the question now looms for our leaders, when will they catch up to lap traffic? Because a lot of this damage now has made it to where the fast groups that were grouped up on top of one another were only that 5 seconds off from our leaders. But now that they've lost a lot of speed with damage, they're going to be a lot more clusters closer to that of Hicks and Mark Whitley to give them advantages to try to battle against one another.
Yeah, this is definitely heating up front there with Whitley all over the back of that 86 machine as this group continues to stack it up. As you can see, they're going through lap traffic here as Whitley all over the back of the 100X 100 car. Here's they head out of turn 2 and squeezing by Dakota Moniz there, or sorry, out of turn 4, squeezing by Dakota Moniz. But Whitley just not giving up in his pursuit here right on the bottom of the racetrack.
Trying to figure out, how do I get by this 86 machine, and how much longer am I just going to have to stay behind and settle? I mean, the closer you get to these lap traffic and this pack that's going to be about that at 4 to 5 seconds in front of them, the more dangerous it's going to be and less opportunities to try to make passes. Whitley ducks it high, tries to get a better arc out of turn number 4, but backs off into the wall. It's 77.
Yeah, that's not what you want to do. Don't think he got too much damage as he backed off good enough to be able to save that right front for a decent bit. But yeah, you hit the right front enough times here tonight, and you will definitely be pushing and losing downforce on that nose, and that's not what you want to see if you're Mark Whitley's case here in the 77, who's trying to run Hicks down, but Hicks just doing a good job of taking the line away.
I mean, I think that's the big thing when you think about Bristol. It seems like a track that there's a bunch of different chances of trying to make passes, but at the same time, it's kind of like that of Darlington, where it's pretty easy to defend. If you just put your rear bumper wherever the other driver behind you is trying to go, you're set to just hold off for laps on laps on laps, and that's exactly what we saw last week at Pocono with Cedric Hunter defending Mark Whitley.
Yeah, definitely. It's been something we've seen before, so fun to see if it comes to fruition. But look at this Cody Reed back here. He's putting some pressure on Tom Bourne in the 16 machine. I thought Tom was going to go forward, but seems like that damage is still hindering. Even though they got a decent bit of it fixed, it's still lingering a little bit on that 16 machine here Is that 25 of Reed? He's fighting back from also a penalty here tonight. He's trying to make his way forward.
It seems like the 16 can defend just like what we were seeing Nix do, but to make passes, it might be just a little bit too much than what this engine is capable of doing at this current moment. But Tom Bourne, he just has to defend for another 7 more laps as we're coming to 7 to go before lap 90. But just to let the audience know, if a yellow flag does come out in the next 2 laps from 85 to 90, yellow flag comes out, that will be our stage break marker. The drivers are going to be racing as hard as they can, but got to be careful on if there's a yellow that comes out. Want to be as far ahead as possible, as Mark Whitley has been caught for 2nd place.
Yeah, he has, and here comes that whole group there on the top side of lap cars. Forbes really wanted to see that line open up, but with the lap cars there, it's not opening up as Morales is there. They're making contact. Now Colley's going to come into the picture. This is all stacking up with the lappers.
Now, hey, let's just squeeze. Let's make some contact. We're close to the end of the stage, but maybe we'll bring out another big one as the cluster that was battling for 3rd, now battling for 2nd, and lap traffic in the way, but trying their best to stay out as much as possible, but it's almost impossible to do any type of movement without reacting and making contact with someone at this point.
I tell you who's loving this scene is Nolan Hicks. What a drive it is here for himself, starting back in the 28th position, and he's going to look to win stage 1. You would have never thought that.
No, I mean, Nolan Hicks, that is a driver that qualified only back in 28th position. The big one helped out the 86 to move forward. Other drivers got damage issues, and now we're seeing the battle for 2nd place. Well, the 86 is almost 2 seconds ahead of these drivers. It is a cluster. It's contact. John Forbes once again has to hold on. That 11 has been a pinball for the last 5 laps.
Yeah, I think he's been trying to set Whitley up, but I think also this 94 is trying to go forward also, so it's stacking things up. They're going to be 3 wide here with the lapper up top of Gregory Smith. This may not work coming off the forward, but they're going to keep it together as Colley going to try to make the pass stick. Can he do it here on the bottom? We'll see.
How? That is just going to be the question all night long. How do they survive at Nolan Hicks? And luckily a yellow is coming, because across the line, stage 1 tonight goes to Nolan Hicks, as everyone else is racing until they get that yellow, which will be coming here in the next few moments. And now the audience and for the drivers, they're questioning, when will the yellow be thrown?
Yeah, they're saying it should have been happening already, but there it is finally. Get a little extra lap in there, why not?
I mean, it gives some of the drivers that are battling for position back further back in the field for Cody Reed, Kralik, and Tamer. I mean, Tribune, now let's battle to see who's going to get that last bonus point for themselves as everyone gets to slow down and try to reset, because, whew, was that a chaotic final 25 laps before the end of this stage, with Nolan Hicks getting the stage break win, with that of Mark Whitley, Brandon Colley, John Forbes, Nick Crawford, Jared Talmadge going to be getting 6th place there with Noah Steele, Tom Bourne, Cody Reed, and Aaron Kralik going to be those 10 drivers getting bonus points here for that of the Larry Art Productions stage break. Larry Art Productions, the sponsor of tonight's race, as well as the stage break sponsor. If you're looking for a great variety of comedy and entertainment YouTube videos, go to the Larry Art Productions on YouTube and go see what can make you laugh, giggle, and put on a smile today. Larry Art Productions, thank you for being one of the most consistent sponsors for ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. As these drivers go into pit road, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. We need a breather. The drivers need a breather. So we are going to go side by side. When we come back, we'll let you know where the drivers come out of pit road as well. How are we going to get to the end of this race? The Larry Art Productions Throwback 200 here at Bristol. It's on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and we will be back in just a few moments to take you to the end.
It's the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Well, we told you we'd go side by side, you won't miss a thing, and you didn't. There was another big one that strikes. John Forbes gets loose and spins it around as we take an instant replay look at this. This could be the wreck. It could be a different one as we're looking back at the 96. We're going to be seeing Joshua Freed. This potentially could, I mean, there were a lot of drivers involved with this. Welcome back to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Got that of Zach Hall with me, and Robert Moyer's trying to find where the caution was because there were so many wrecks and carnages. They'll think that this might be it. And Zach, I mean, we were expecting this restart, fresh tires, and we knew something was going to crack at some point.
Yeah, we had a feeling this was going to go down, and whew, man, oh man. Right in front of Brandon Colley, there goes the 11 around in the second position. Brandon Colley just clips him just a little bit. That's going to send him back right here. And from there, Jarrett Talmadge in the 17, he does an excellent job. I mean, what a fantastic job of him trying to miss that. But he's going to hit the inside wall there with the 7 of Kerry Trabu down there. And then from here, it becomes a race car graveyard, as we would say.
It's gridlock. Can everyone please slow down, come to a halt, or just come to a stop because your truck's broke as everyone comes piling in. And there you see in the middle of all of it, the red and black 77 machine. It's Mark Whitley. And coming in later, a couple of other drivers. And we call it arc breaking, but Zach, this has been an issue since season 1, race number 1. And it's always something difficult to control at times.
Yeah, that was a little bit itch there looking at the 21 there, coming in about 10 minutes later, it felt like. But yeah, I guess he thought he saw the gap he could shoot through. I don't know, because that looked like pretty much gridlock to me, guys, and it is a little bit laughable at this point, Sam, with that one. Cause,
our producers in our ear just laughing it up. I mean, it does get comical at times, because we've been preaching about it for almost almost a year and a half at this point for this series of slow down if there's smoke or someone spun out in front of you, or at least if someone's screaming on the radio, wreck, tap the brake or let off the gas. So do something besides just piling in and adding even more carnage. That's either going to ruin your race and end it immediately or end someone else's, as that of Dakota Moniz is now going to be the next driver to be caught up with heavy damage. And with our scene, so many wrecks, so many drivers taken out of this race, we are now down to just 13 drivers of our 33 that started this race left on the lead lap.
Man, that right there is a stat for the books there halfway through this thing, and it's about half the field already took it out of this thing. So it's going to get even more interesting, folks. I tell you, you ain't going to want to tune away because it's going to continue. This is Bristol, and you can only expect this from this racetrack.
And Zach, what makes it even worse is a lot of these wrecks are happening before halfway, meaning on this restart, we're going to see a lot more drivers trying to make sure that these tires are underneath them. But because those wrecks have happened so early, our drivers now have time to get repairs. Like you see Jonathan Smith getting back on track. A lot of these drivers are not done, and they get back out there, and already drivers are spinning at turn number 2. Another yellow strikes. Oh, well, they just wanted another breather, I guess, a little bit more time to get used to their cars.
Yeah, I think that right there might have been a little bit of impatience from the 17. Once again, we've seen throughout these seasons. Jared Talmadge there trying to make a move, I think, on the 91 back here and just gonna bring out a yellow just for really no reason.
Drivers get to pace it out. Another look at how this wreck went down as 91 of Martin Morales, this driver that gets spun around for himself. And a lot of drivers overall, I think they're starting to feel, I mean, we're just past halfway. There's still a lot of racing to go. But you're going to see the 17 of Jarrett Talmadge as 91 gets forced 3 wide. You're going to have that of the 29. That's Logan Brakey, who's 91 laps down, going to the inside. I mean, outside, then inside. It's Jarrett Talmadge, who's on the lead lap, going for position. And there goes the 91.
Yeah, they're just a little bit impatient there, from my opinion, for the 17. Could have possibly waited another corner there to get that done, but you know, people feel like they need to get the pass done when they can. So, you know, you got to go for the gap when you see it, I guess, as a race car driver. So it's what it's looking like to me, man. But Nolan Hicks, I tell you, this is becoming one of the most unlikely stories for him, dude. This is great to see for him. And not only that, you got to look behind him to Brandon Colley as we look at Kerry Trebu here on our driver cam coming down the pit road to try to get that 7 machine worked on. Both the drivers up in our front of our field, they started 28th and 27th, man. Must be something to that.
And both drivers, I believe, were given EOLs to start this race off. So technically, they started even deeper in the field than expected, and they've done a great job getting back up front and both being our biggest movers of the day. Nix leading this race up 27 positions. Colley rocking that of the Terry Labonte throwback scheme here tonight. Gonna move up that of 25 laps, which for Colley, I think running that scheme is always interesting in my eyes when you decide to run schemes of drivers that have found themselves being spun around at this track in real life terms at Bristol. But hey, Colley's trying to break a curse, I guess, with running that scheme.
Yeah, that scheme has had a lot of history at this racetrack, from one year being spun around and destroyed by the legendary 3 to 1 year repaying that favor. So I don't know if he has, you know, some revenge in mind. Maybe that's why he's running the Kellogg scheme, looking, you know, to get out there and be like Taylor Labonte and try to get this done. But man, he's going to take an Iceman type of style to get this done here tonight, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see if he can get it done. And even Hicks and Colley, I know those two have had a little bit of issues this season too, so it could get a little spicy between those two. And also got his teammate Nick Crawford there too. Can't look too far behind. He's got the Meerkat Zoo behind him. You never know, they might be cheering him on.
You never know what you're gonna get when you come to Bristol, and we've seen Bristol races where we've only had 4 cautions. That first Bristol race, only 4 yellows. We actually got, I believe, almost green flag pit stops during that race. Then we had a few more last season, and here tonight already tying that, about to tie the 8 cautions that we had last season. So right now, tonight, we're past halfway, but how many more yellows will come? Time will tell, but we do know a few things. That is Zach Wilson, Dakota Moniz, Aaron Kralik, Carl Pooler, Ethan Smith, and Thomas Green have all parked it. They're done for the day. How many more will join them in the garage area? Well, let's find out as we are back to green flag racing for Nolan Hicks, for that of Colley and others. Rolling, but yellow strikes immediately.
Yeah, and that's John Forbes somehow sideways there right on the start. I don't know exactly how that started all out, but whew, they had to throw Admin yellow.
That of the adamant yellow will be thrown. And looking back from my point of view, it looks like he was trying to get into the right positioning that he was supposed to be in, and then might have just brake checked. It was
the engine expired. He actually had an engine failure there. I don't know if he put it in the wrong gear, maybe downshifted that thing into first or maybe even into reverse. But yeah, that thing completely stopped and that engine locked up and expired.
And as well, it's going to be seeing a couple of other drivers hard in impacts. That of Gregory Smith was the driver that ran into the 11, as well as after being contacted, came down and made contact with that of Isaac Shelley. It's more drivers out of this race. John Forbes not looking like he will be able to repeat here at the Bristol event. But as we take a look at some of the other schemes that are out there on track, a driver that was taken out in that first wreck of the day, Zach, there was competition going out where Larry Art Productions got to look at all the schemes the drivers submitted and got to pick who he thought was deserving of the scheme of the race. Well, didn't get to see him running for best finish, 29th position, but this is our scheme that won scheme of the day here this weekend.
Yeah, great there job by him to bring that scheme, and definitely what I like, and enjoy also there, that 29 machine looking good with the flames around here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. But just unfortunate it's not a pristine car here at this point, because man, you just got to talk about Brakey's luck a little bit. It's just been very tough for him lately. It just seems like right at the start of the races, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time, really none of his own doing, and he gets taken out. So he's going to look to get that fixed up, and you know, he came in here tonight with probably high hopes after finishing in the top 3 here last season. So unfortunate for his 29. At least he'll have that one good thing to go away from tonight, as winning the competition for the best throwback.
And with that, he'll get an extra $25 into his bank account, as that 29th scheme was made by Color Teal Graphics. If you'd like to get some graphics, go to Color Teal Graphics, one of the many sponsors that the ISRC have collected over the last couple of seasons. Other ones I gotta say thanks to that Morecast, LP Clothing, 213 Simware, and for LP24 Clothing, we do have, you know, some great information from them. If you're looking for great quality of hats, hoodies, t-shirts, beanies, you can go find them all in all different varieties of color, sizes. On Instagram, go to @LP24 Clothing, and that is the number 24, and go get yourself an order today from some of the best values out there. That is LP24 Clothing for great quality and affordable prices. As well, thank you to Race Car Graveyard. Didn't talk about them too in depth at the start of the broadcast. We were just so jazzed to get into the racing action, but with all the carnage that we've seen a couple of big wrecks and a couple of drivers and trucks that are going to be going to the graveyard, but this isn't the graveyard that you want to go find destroyed schemes. This is where to go find some great diecast at Race Car Graveyard. Go for that of 124s to 164, that of ratios, and get yourself your diecast today. They've got new, used, customs, anything you're looking for, they can find for you. Go use the promo code RCGY to go receive 10% off at Race Car Graveyard today. Well, drivers are stacked up. It's Nolan Hicks, Brandon Colley, Nick Crawford, Noah Steele, Cody Reed, Tom Bourne, Trevor Earhart, Oli Fonseca, Cedric Hunter, Mark Whitley, and others, as we are back to Green Flag Racing here at Bristol.
Yeah, the list just keeps getting shorter, man, and Hicks is enjoying that out front here. It's going to be Brandon Colley in the second spot, but look at the stack up there behind Nick Crawford. It was the 25 of Reed thinking about making it 3 wide with Bourne and Steele, but he thought better of it as he's going to slide in there. But Mark Whitley trying to make his way up into 77 there on the bottom.
Might have been caught up in the most recent big one, but his date is not done just yet. Just a little bit of front end damage. He's gotten repaired and now trying to make the push to get back up into the top 5, but there is a wall to try to get through. First number is that 25, that of Cody Reed, but Tom Bourne, who with all these wrecks and cautions have allowed the 16 to get repaired, he's now making the charge up to that 3rd.
Yeah, he's probably liking the downforce that truck is making now after making repairs to that front end. It looks much, much better, I must confirm, and he's definitely probably liking the front turn on that truck much better, and it's showing here as he's looking to go to the inside here for a second up front as the battle continues on behind this group. Reed trying to take the position away from Steele. They also got Whitley there in the 77 as Hicks out front is trying to drive away.
bunch of fours out there. The fours in fourth place coming out of turn number 4. He's got that of Cody Reed trying to make the pressure, but Noah Steele side by side, almost 3 rows deep, and it's going to be Mark Whitley to the outside getting by Steele. And now we're starting to see the different lanes being utilized right now. Zach, I mean, on that restart, the inside looked preferred. Now we're starting to see a lot more of a mixture as drivers are still searching and learning on how to react with this track to make passes.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Sam. The track is starting to react a little bit differently here. We've seen the bottom kind of be the preferred groove for the night, but the outside groove looking to be a little bit more possible. Man, what a move from Tom Bourne there. Late dive to the inside there of the 94, and he gets there with the 94 with a good run off the top here. It's going to be nice side-by-side racing here from second on back as Hicks is out of the picture.
Hicks is out of the picture, and he is now a second and a half ahead, but now lap traffic could be his ultimate demise if we stay green. As still side-by-side, Brandon Colley showing the outer lane is still great at defending as they're closing in on lap traffic. That's going to be our paint scheme of the day, Logan Brakey, that they're closing in on. But Colley survives. Now Tom Bourne has to move to the outside lane to hold off that of Nick Crawford.
Yeah, that's one of those things. You lose a little bit of momentum fighting the driver up ahead of you. It gives the shot for the driver behind. Nick Crawford took advantage of it. And that 4 here, trying to make some time here on the bottom of that 16 and try to go forward. But he can't look too far behind for himself because Cody Reed, that same exact thing that happened in the 16 could happen to Nick Crawford to Cody Reed. And as they come up on that 7, that's stacked it up there. Somehow Crawford makes it by the 7 at the trap view. But man, oh man, really the 94 of Colley there got really checked up.
Yeah, I mean, Crawford's going to have to really back out, and now he's going to lose 1 to 2 more positions as he's side-by-side with Mark Whitley. And there's no sign of being able to move up high. The train on the outer lane gets him going, and now going to have to see another lap car who runs high, which forces everyone to go to the middle to low end. Woo, it is constant. Watch out as there's going to be Gregory Shaw almost getting involved with that of Mark Whitley.
Yeah, and that's the difference is you got one driver there in the 7 at trap view. He's a slower car on the bottom holding the groove. And then you got Gregory Shaw up top holding the top groove. And, you know, that's changed it up where these guys have to go. The first time Brandon Colley got checked up on the bottom, he's running the bottom. Tom Bourne running the top, got checked up from that car. So it's kind of the timing of where you catch the lap cars and where your line is at when you get held up. But, man, oh man, this stack up is still pretty big here as they continue to lose time to Hicks out front. That's got to be a little bit of concern for me for Hicks if he's going out there and really using that rubber up.
He's using every little bit up to try to keep the lead and build that lead even bigger. But the more lap cars that he passes, the more dangerous Colley and Tom Bourne and the rest of the field kind of have to be in. And they've got to be careful for themselves as Mark Whitley, a driver that has shown aggression, but lately, these last couple of weeks, he's seen opportunities to go into victory lane and have not been able to conquer and succeed. The 77 here tonight had to be forced further back because of damage, and now he's been involved with some major wrecks. Currently in that 5th place position, the 77 Zach, I don't think this race is done for him as we're less than 70 laps to go here at Bristol, which can still clock away in an instant. But he needs to make these moves immediate if he wants to even have a chance to catch up to Hicks. That's over 2 seconds ahead now.
Yeah, I definitely don't doubt Mark Whitley's chance to still get back into this winning position, man. It's been a very strong 77 machine. He's just having a tough time right now. It's very tough to pass, but at the same time, you can't overuse your stuff trying to get by these guys because you're going to have something to go up there and catch Hicks with. So if Whitley wants to get this done, he can't overdo it, but he's got to get the most out of it on the bottom. And that is so tough to do, as you see. Now Crawford going to be
there he goes. Nick Crawford on the nose of the 77, and Mark Whitley does a great pirouette and now facing the right direction. But a little bit angry might be the 77 now as Nick Crawford, he doesn't mean to use that nose as much as he has, but that is the 2nd, if not 3rd driver that has come off of it.
Yeah, and actually going back and looking at it precisely, I don't know if we'll be able to get a better shot of that, but the 25 and Whitley actually make a little bit of contact before that. So it was really kind of that checking up there of that, I think, that kind of led to the 77 kind of coming up and the 4 being there. And unfortunately for Whitley, once again, just out of the wrong place at the wrong time and is involved in a wreck.
And the driver that got the worst of it, the 25 of Cody Reed, bouncing off the wall after the contact, broke something on the wheel, on his front right wheel, and it looks like he'll have to come into pit road for required damage for the 25 that's running in 4th currently.
Yeah, looking at that truck, man, that does not look like required damage on it. But yeah, something is broken. It's not. That is not a good sign for him because he's going to have to get that fixed before they let him get back off of pit road. So the 25 here are going to have to come back from that adversity here late in this race.
Hey, but here's the big thing. As long as Cody Reed isn't involved with the next wreck that's expected to come, because we're getting fresh tires, drivers into pit road. This is their third set. Still one more to utilize if wanted to after this pit stop. But Zach, after every pit stop, we've had 1 to 2 yellows. So if if Cody Reed does need to stay in pit road for extended time, at least he'll potentially have some yellows that can give him more pacing laps to get more repairs done and get back out there on track.
That's very possible for sure, Sam. And, there is time still for sure. And, the one thing you just brought up, too, is this is the third set of tires a lot of guys have used. So they're going to have 1 set left. I believe the 13th Cedric Hunter, he should have 2 left in his pit box. If this comes down to a couple, longer runs here that gets split up by some cautions, that 13 could be looking to use that extra set of tires. And normally, being the odd man out like that, you'd lose a lot of track position by doing that type of strategy and taking the set of tires. But only 13 cars on the lead lap here, there's not going to be too much track position to give up.
And something might have gone wrong for Nolan Hicks coming out of pit road. He got beat out by Colley and now is giving up a lot of time and is back to 10th place. Nolan Hicks issues, and I don't know what happened. I'm still looking back to see what happened to the 86, but he's now back to 10th.
Yeah, that was a very odd sequence. I saw him side by side with Brandon Colley on pit road, and they were, Brandon Colley had the inside line, and it really allowed him to get by him there and win that race off pit road. But it seems that I just don't know what happened to him late there on exit, but he had some type of mistake where he had to let everybody by. It was some type of black flag because he pulled left and let the whole lead lap group by here, I think.
And now he's going to be potentially even further back as we're down to just that of 12 drivers on the lead lap with Cody Reed having required damage. But luckily for the 25, he's back out on track. Zach, just far for one and only driver, 1 lap down. So if there is a yellow, I should say, if there's a yellow that comes out and he is not involved with any incident points, 25 will be our next lucky dog given to the 25. But man, what a bizarre race we have here. 60 laps to go. It's going to be 59 when we go green here. And it's Brandon Colley, Tom Bourne leading this race. Colley, who had to start all the way at the end of the line with an EOL, well, he's ready to take us back to the green as here we go into turn number 1.
Great start from the 94. Going to get up front for the first time, feel that clean air for the first time tonight. But Tom Bourne, we've seen how fast he is on the short runs. Look at him dive into the inside here. Got to remember the cold tires do not want to loop these cars. That's what we've seen a lot of times tonight, but everybody makes it through 4.
Makes it through 4, but it's been the first 3 laps. You still got to be careful as they go through turns 3, 1 and 2 into turn 3. That of Nick Crawford, a huge launch on the outside. Here comes Tom Bourne, though, making his surge, but just not able to get back to the throttle on the exit. Crawford to the inside for 2nd place.
What a move there. The Ford getting aggressive here. We haven't seen him be able to be, other than Gateway this season, able to challenge for a top 3. And right back again here on the short track, doing very, very well. So this Ford machine right over the back deck lid in the 16, but the 16 trying to get to the quarter pound of the 94. Great racing going up here from the top 4. And Whitley also in the picture.
Just seems like that 16 not able to really get the center off the corner as well as the 94 has been. And you could kind of tell that of Brandon Colley's been feeling very comfortable for himself. Cedric Hunter back in 8th place. He's hoping to see a little bit more carnage, though, up front so that he can take some of these spots away. He's been the lucky duck for most of the season, and he's hoping to get lucky into a 3rd win potentially here. But the battling for 3rd now rages on. Nick Crawford, it's going to be Mark Whitley. These are the 2 drivers that brought up that last yellow, and now it's right back to where they were before.
Yeah, back racing just where they were at, and that just shows you can wreck 1 minute here at Bristol with so many little guys on the lead lap. You can be right back racing that same driver. And right now, Whitley, the 4 of Crawford there trying to hold off that 77, and he was leaving tire tracks off the corner the last couple times with how loose he got. But there goes the 4 getting diving to the inside of 16. He's being relentless here with his approach.
He's just diving so hard, but I'm curious for Nick Crawford with how aggressive. I mean, he's getting great launches. He's seeing a lot of kill mode on for the 4 of I want to make this pass now on Tom Bourne. but with the straightaways being as short as they are, he's using up so much rubber just entering these corners.
It really is, and he's making it tough here on this 77, man, just diving it into the corners here. Any time he has a little bit of breathing room, he'll go to the bottom here because he knows the 77 up top.
For the lead.
Ooh.
It's going to be Tom Bourne. He gave a huge shove to Collie, which moved him up just slightly, but wasn't able to capitalize with Tom Bourne.
Yeah, this stack up here for our top 5, it's all drivers, all top 5, right within a half a second. That is mind-blowing to see here at Bristol as all 5 of them do different lines.
They're starting to catch up to Kerry Tribute, who's been slow and has been willing to just stay low. The question is, if any of these drivers decide to go side by side, that 7 will not just get out of the way, and it looks like he finally will be. High side now, unpredictability, and that's going to be holding up our leader for a quick moment, not the exit that he wanted, which here comes Tom Bourne now, going to be right on that back bumper of our leaders. They're catching up to Eric Stamp now.
Yeah, here they come up this Stamp, and again, that lap traffic, it can always play a factor here at Bristol. You never know when you're going to catch him here as they're coming up to the 50 or 53. He goes high. Everyone else goes low. Bourne into the back bumper of the 94. It shoots him forward there off the corner. But Brandon Collie here, I think, trying to do his best to manage out front here, but he might have to pick up the pedal here with this 16 all over the back deck.
It almost looked like Collie was trying to slam on the brakes and slow down the 16s when he got off the corner. He had Eric Stamp to his outside, and Bourne said no, gave him the shove, get out, get moving, let's get out of this situation. And our front 5 still on top of one another. And you look back to 5th, Noah Steele. I mean, this just looks like a regular Steele type of a run where he's been quiet for most of the race, but still close to the top 5.
And even, you can't look too far back in the 6th position of Trevor Earhart there. He's also been a driver that's been known to be very good at Bristol. Had a heartbreak last season leading late in the go and has some damage on that truck, but doing well in the 6th spot. But look no far behind him. It's Nolan Hicks.
I mean, to look at the whole entire field, who doesn't have damage at this point? Nolan Hicks had that issue coming into pit road, came out 2nd of all the drivers that pitted, but then had an issue where he had to fall back to 10th place, up to 7th. But now the tires have worn in, the grip's there, and now you got to be aggressive attack mode. And for our leader, Brandon Collie, they're in line behind them, but they're not in front of them. Lap traffic is now going to be a march.
That it is, man. You're going to have Kyle Rochelle, Logan Brakey, Robert Hattenbach, and then you got side-by-side action of Gregory Shaw up there along with Isaac Shelley. So you're going to have a good group of lap cars here to be going through for the next couple laps if you're this 94. This is where you got to be perfect. This is where you got to open up the gap, and this is where you want to try to make that time when your competition here is through lap traffic.
Catch lap traffic, get out of the corner, and hope that the lap car is not to your outside, and that's exactly what Collie wants. Put a lap car. Each time you pass them, put him in between you and the 2nd place runner, and Tom Bourne is struggling at the moment and being hounded and worrying about lap cars. This is not looking good for Tom Bourne, but in one blink of an eye, it could go bad for our leader.
That it could. I mean, he's right here with lap traffic. Logan Brakey going to be on the outside of him here down the front straightaway. And you're going to have Nick Crawford diving to the inside of Bourne here as he's trying to take position as they're going to be coming up on the lap traffic. This could stack it up here.
And just like that, Tom Bourne just able to sneak out by, diving it down below the 29. Now it's going to have the 99. And they're going to slow up, whoa up, but wrecking behind is Trevor Earhart again. No! The bad luck strikes the 41.
Once again, the 41 having issues, and I think it might have been a little bit of contact from the 13, but we'll have to check on that because I'm not sure. But the 41, unfortunately, getting spun around.
Spun around and issues gonna hit. And Trevor Earhart, sounds like ARCA braking might have hit the 41 as well after the incident had already concluded. As you watch here, Zach, you kind of got to see a preview before our audience, but man, the 13 was flying, catching up to this 41.
Yeah, he was looking good. The 13 was starting to make time, and as you can see there, just unfortunately, a little bit of an arrow there off the nose of that 13. It sends the 41 around, and Trevor Earhart, oh, nowhere to go for the 17, and just not what you want to see.
No. The hesitation of where to go, hesitating at super speedways, I've talked about it a ton, is bad, but hesitating at a short track is 1,000 times worse because you have no time to react, and if you just don't have that decision of I want to go low or high, you can throw away a race in an instant. But speaking about throwing away this race in an instant, we are seeing some different strategies thrown out. Brandon Collie, Tom Bourne, they stay out, rest of the field, hit pit road.
Oh, this right here could shake it all up, folks. That right there was a pretty decent run. I mean, 138 was when they last hit pit road. I mean, you almost saw there a 30 lap green flag run, at least 25 laps there under green. This is going to be a questionable call from the group out front. I know they only have one set of tires left, but this race can go by in a blink of an eye here. We just had 30 laps go by that fast.
Well, we just also put up a poll about that of 50, 60 laps ago, asking the question, how many yellows are we going to have for this race? For those that were in the range of 5 to 10 cautions, well, we just hit our 10th. And Zach, I got a feeling we might see 11 or 12 coming up here with fresh rubber now underneath these drivers.
Yeah, I think this this could get a little bit dicey here, and this is going to end up being an interesting situation. Looks like Mark Whitley won the race off of pit road, so he's put himself in position to be the first car on the freshest tires. And man, this caution right here, like, no brainer for for Cedric Hunter there with 2 sets of tires. It was probably a hard decision for a lot of other guys, but again, with this many laps left here at Bristol, I think you got to come down and get the tires just by how fast this race can click off. You never know. It could be green to the end all the way here.
It really could be. And if it is green from here to the end, 38% of you that voted, the 13 that voted so far, would be correct. But the next selection was 10 to 20 cautions, which that was the range I kind of voted as well for myself. We got 54% that voted there. So if you haven't voted on where you think the caution's going to lie, here is your time to do so as well. This is a great time to throw yourself to liking, subscribing to us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're having some fun here tonight. It's been a weird, different Bristol race than what we've seen in previous seasons. But Bristol, you never know what you're going to get. We've seen 3 massive wrecks. And right now, it's Brandon Colley, who had an EOL to start the race off, leading this race. Tom Bourne, Nick Crawford, Mark Whitley, Noah Steele, that of Nolan Hicks, going to be your front 6, ready to get rolling here tonight for the Larry R Productions Throwback 200 here at Bristol for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. That inside line did not get going, and Tom Bourne is back to 3rd now.
Yeah, and I tell you what, who utilizes it more, Whitley goes around!
Whitley around, spinning, tosser, and right in the middle of the field. More carnage going to be line on the back stretch.
And that right there, I think, is going to do it for Whitley. That's an engine done for him. And man, oh man, just again, the same syndrome we've seen all night, Sam. Those cold tires coming back to bite. We might need to put a sticky note on these drivers' front on their dashes, telling them, man, cold tires are treacherous.
You know, when they talk about fresh rubber, they talk about getting stickers, and stickers are on the tires. Notify you've got the freshest rubber, hasn't been touched on the track. Well, obviously someone forgot to take the stickers off the 77 because he has been sliding out of the corners at turn 2 and 4 almost all night long whenever he would get fresh rubber and just get spun around. Steele gives him a slight tap that gets him really going, and at that point, once he hits the wall, comes back to the middle of the track. This is the end of the day type of a moment when you look back and see other drivers and, hey, look, I believe that was the 24 or was that the 29? It was the 29 of Brakey, and there's Smith and everyone else trying to come to a halt behind him.
Yeah, a lot of guys involved in that one. Brakey's going to get more required damage repair in that 29. As we've seen, it was just a nose-on hit for him. Really nowhere to go. I mean, that was just when Bristol happens, pretty much. It clogs up the whole track,
Did Cody Reed get out of that cleanly? Or did he get some contact as well? Because he was right in the middle of all of that. He's already back on the lead lap.
He did get through cleanly, I believe, Sam. I'm about to take a little look myself, but I
just went back. He should have slammed at least 3 or 4 different cars. Cody Reed might have had one of the best just navigational moves, which in some eyes, absolutely reckless, but he survived and didn't hit anyone, so you'll accept those odd survivals.
Well, they say it's not an ARCA break till you hit something, I guess. So, if you make it through it, then just congratulations. You navigate it well. You can't have no harm, no foul, I guess, for that one for him. But, yeah, I went back and looked at that. I mean, the seas parted for him right there. That was about as close as it could have gotten. Reed going to use that here to be in 9th. So, it's just been a crazy night, man. With the way our lineup is right here, the way this race could possibly end out, it's going to be very, very interesting. Especially, you had Tom Bourne there. I believe he came down pit road and got his set of tires. Brandon Colley's still out front, not taking a set.
Yeah, Colley, I I mean, he's coming up to the range where he is not going to be able to come into pit road. This is probably his last time that he was going to have an opportunity, which that's what Tom Bourne did. He went to pit road, got some tires. He's going to be back in 10th place. So Ollie's in a tricky spot. The rest of the drivers, they still got freshish rubber. That this restart can be dangerous, so watch out on that. But we do got to give thanks to some of our sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Starting things off with iRacing iFlag. iRacing iFlag, you see it in our top left corner. That's exactly what it will do for you. It's a box that flashes indicational lights, letting you know when we're green, yellow, or any other lights to give you a clear and sight of what the flag state is on track with your iFlag virtual flag system, as well as many other great devices that they have at iFlag. iRacing iFlag, go to iRacingIFlag.com, use our code FreakyFast2022 and get yourself a discount. As we're about to get rolling here and ready to go, let's see if we get another caution that maybe give us some more time for more sponsors that we have here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as it's time for our front runners, that of Collie, Crawford, Steele, Hicks, Hunter, Fonseca, Morales Jr., Reed, Earhart, Tom Bourne. Those are your 10 drivers in the top 10, and they're the only 10 drivers on the lead lap. Well, let's get rolling. We're green here at Bristol.
Great launch out front from the 94. He's going to have to do that continuously with the older tires here and have to hope for yellows, because the new tires are going to be looking to scream by here. And the first one looking to do it is going to be the Ford Nick Crawford, but Hicks behind in the 86. He's taking third as the field storms by the start-finish line.
They're slicing and dicing, but for the lead, it's Nick Crawford with the nose, but outside lane has been the preferred spot to be if you want to defend, but the 94 just doesn't have the grip, doesn't have the center speed, and Nick Crawford, to the point, the Meerkats aren't distracting him right now as he takes the lead point for the Ford. Collie gets spun.
Yeah, oh no, that just stacked it all up, and Hicks there.
Oh no, Danny Cochran and others. Oh.
Moore's piloted, man. Continuous theme of the night, and well, I think Brendan Colley's going to be asking for those tires now, and just man, he's probably not going to be the happiest about that with the 86 there getting into the rear.
Your day is done. You're disqualified. You take another seat into pit road as more drivers are going to be out of this thing. That of Gregory Smith got disqualified. Too many incident points to the 6th machine. Kerry Tribune has been in pit road. That of Talmadge was in pit road for the last time. Tyler Dangler's got required damage. John Forbes, Mark Whitley, Danny Cochran just got a required damage. Logan Brakey's been in pit road for required damage. The list just continues to grow, but the one driver I thought was going to get that penalty, but didn't, was the 94.
Yeah, this is interesting right here with them up here in the front of the pack. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting to see, because the 13 is Cedric Hunter's going to duck off. He got some damage, and he's going to come down, if I believe, for his final set of tires he has for that 13. So definitely some interesting things playing out. But, man, the 94 here, he's probably going to be kicking himself not going back and hitting pit road when he did.
And Cedric Hunter, that of Trevor Earhart, Cody Reed, Mark Morales, all in pit road to get service done. And if Colley's been told to go to the back tail end of the line, that will leave us with just 9 drivers on the lead lap, coming at less than 20 laps to go when we get rolling. But Zach, I mean, with the amount of yellows and carnage we've seen, probably some drivers hoping they had black flags clear, and some have. I think for most leagues and admins, they might want this device to help them out.
Yeah, they could definitely check this one out, and that is the admin box. Race control at your fingertips, folks. Each of them connect via USB, with each of them having no key binding necessary with pre-programmed commands for race control, driver functionality, and pit options with LED backlighting. That makes each button highly visible. So make sure you head on over to adminbox.com there, as box with 2 X's there, and use that discount code FFB/box to get that discount. So again, if you want race control at your fingertips, head on over to adminbox.com.
And just like that, you can be ready for sim racing. But you might be questioning, you got your iRacing iFlag, you got your admin box. Well, you might want to go over to Advanced Sim Racing, because they're the one-stop shop if you want to get yourself situated with a racing rig. They are the one place that has one of the best, that of simulator chassis manufacturers, as well as they've got a great that of equipment retail in that of digital motorsports. They've got themselves wheels, they got monitor stands, they've got practically all that you need to make sure you've got the best racing rig out there, to make sure you feel comfortable, you feel confident, and you're ready to go racing on iRacing or any other simulators. Go over to Advanced Sim Racing and go use our promo code FreakyFast5 for 5% off on your next purchase. Well, Zach, we wait for the pace car lights to go off. Some drivers just got some fresh rubber. Others got more damage repair. Here we go again. Let's try it one more time, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. And I don't know if the 94 is supposed to get waved around, and looks like he will now. So I think he'll be on the tail end of the lead lap there in the 10th position. So we'll see how that works out for him. But man, oh man, with 19 to go, Nick Crawford in position here. What can he do to win this race?
Now it's telling everyone to go by the pace car as we're green now. Bizarre, weird, and now the admins will throw a yellow because of the shenanigans that just happened with Caldy in front of the field. It messed up some of the software, and so it told the drivers to take off at the entry of turn 3. The admins threw a yellow, and good thing some of them might have an admin box because they pressed that caution flag immediately and said, let's reset this, let's try it again, which luckily for Ryan Ferraro, I'll get a lucky dog spot for that.
Yeah, he'll be happy about that. Button push there of a yellow, and right here, everybody checking up, trying to let the pace car catch up as you'll see them stack up here. But yeah, that was weird, man. Definitely even a lifesaver possibly for Brandon Collier, who can now come down pit road and probably get some tires on his truck and try to get some of that damage fixed.
Trying to get everything situated, and as the drivers wait for this, we'll see. Wait and see. The question looms for the race admins: will they advance this or let the pacing just happen? Because if they let the pacing happen, this race just went from a 19 to 18 laps to go run to now a 11 to 12 laps to go run that we're going to be going into, which means they take a caution away, and that it's a little bit less racing. It means these drivers that are on new tires, those tires are going to be a lot more cooled off, and this could be a lot more of a dangerous restart than what we've seen previously.
Yeah, we've talked about cool tires all night being treacherous. Well, just add these caution laps. That's only going to cool them down more for these guys. So if it wasn't close before, with how close they came to disaster here tonight many times on these first laps, it could get even worse. And they're going for the win now. I mean, you got Hicks, Crawford, Fonseca, Steele, Reed, Morales, Bourne, all of these drivers here in the top 7. None of them have got a win. They're all going to be looking for that first one here tonight.
Trying to get that first win that gives you an automatic berth into the playoffs. So important, especially with the races that are coming up. We've got Atlanta, the new Atlanta, the super speedway, like 1.5 mile course. Then we got Las Vegas, Dover, Texas. Then we go road course racing at the Glen, Charlotte, and finishing out our regular season at the Nashville Super Speedway. We're closing in on halfway here, Zach, of the regular season, and it's crunch time if you're hoping to make the playoffs. 16 drivers make it in, but if you get a win, you are automatically going into the playoffs if you're in our top 20 of points.
That's the way to do it, man. Got to win to get yourself in there, and that'll make you feel confident for the rest of that regular season. So we'll see how it all shakes out here once we get everything double filed back up. But man, Nick Crawford, he's got the Meerkats rooting him on. We'll see if that is going to be what is able to get him there. But if you were saving anything in this race, saving tires, saving a little bit of short run speed, all of that is out the window. We're going to see, I think, some of the fastest lap times we've seen all night here turned by these drivers.
I mean, the fastest laps, I think also some of the most reckless driving we could be seeing here on this restart, especially on the fact that, again, they're on cold tires. Some are on different stages of their tires than others, but we've had so many yellows, they're pretty close to one another, as Cody Reed and that of Mark Morales, Cedric Hunter, they're going to have some of the freshest tires out there. And then those that are top 4 are on some of the oldest tires. They haven't pitted since 20 laps ago, but we've had 2 to 3 cautions that have come up. So the question is, how worn are that of Crawford, Hicks, Steele, and Fonseca's tires on this restart?
That is going to be the question to all of us here at home and us up here in the booth. So if you're at home and tuned in, thank you for tuning in with us. This is about to get wild. Hold on to your seats, because these 14 laps are going to go by in a blink of an eye.
If you want entertainment, go to Larry R Productions or subscribe here, because we're going to have one of the most entertaining 13 laps to go here at Bristol as we are green. They're stacking up back for 3rd and 4th place, but for front 2, they're taking off as it's going to be seeing drivers trying to roll around the best that they can. But oh boy, are they trying to get frisky right here. Watch out for Steele and Bourne.
Yeah, they're trying everything in their bag here. Bourne with the big run to the back there of that 24 machine as he's trying to find his way up into the top 3. He's got some of the freshest tires of this group. Remember, he pit right after staying out that last time, and he's trying to carve his way back to position. But with 11 to go, Nick Crawford has all types of pressure with the 86 up front.
Bourne feeling like he's got the better run and faster truck, but Ollie Fonseca, beaten, battered, and bruised, just has to block every exit the best of the 24 can. As our front 2, Nick Crawford, Nolan Hicks, continue to try to pull away. They're a full second ahead of 3rd place, where Bourne's finally able to get side by side with Fonseca. A little bit of a body slam. Hey, Rubbin's racing here at Bristol, and here comes Cody Reed now to the inside.
Cody Reed trying to drive his way through. Also, you also got the 13 of Cedric Hunter, one of our 2-time winners this season, trying to make his way up to the front, but it's 9 to go. Everything here at Bristol needs to be forward. As there's the end around.
And just like tradition, Steele racing up front for most of the race and then wiped out at the end. We get our caution, and Zach, this is going to be putting us inside of a regulation green, white, checkered with the 8 destroyed, battered, and bruised, and hoping that he can get to pit road, because I think his day is done, and it is with required damage.
That it is, and man, oh man, just unfortunate for this this 8 machine. Just it does always seem like same running in good spots, always near the end of the race, and then just something always comes up to bite this number 8 machine and takes them out.
And for our poll that we've had for most of the second half of this race, 21 people voted. We had that of 52% think that we were going to have cautions land within 10 to 20 laps. 10 to 20 cautions for this race of 200 laps. Well, with the timing of this yellow and the amount of cautions that we can have from here on out, those 52% voters, they will be correct with tonight's race, as we will only have a total of 3 more yellows potentially that could strike here tonight. And Zach, we're expecting to have an inside regulation green, white, checkered, and then we got 3 overtime attempts, if needed, sitting in their back pocket.
Oh man, this is this is going to get very interesting. Nick Crawford was doing a great job there, had a great launch, got out front and really managed that, and was looking really, really quick, running his quickest times of the race out front there. And he was hoping that thing was going to stay green, but he's going to have a short time here to get himself ready for the restart of his season here. This could be the one that matters all.
And at this point, so many drivers have been backing off, giving space on the exit of these corners and in the middle of the corners. We were seeing it there on that last restart of seeing Cody Reed, Tom Bourne really being aggressive on Ollie Fonseca, trying to move him up, rubbing off one another. Now, I would imagine that similar strategy is exactly what we're going to see on these upcoming restarts.
Yeah, if you get a chance and get to the inside of somebody, I wouldn't be surprised if their right side door is going to be into the left side door of the truck on the outside, because you're just going to have to get everything out of this truck here tonight to be able to get to this victory. It's so tough to make passes on the bottom. Sometimes you got to get those elbows out, make a little bit of contact, and that will be the the way to make that pass the most efficient way. So we'll see. Does Crawford allow them to even get there and have the chance? Because Bourne, he was flying on up through in that 16 machine.
And we started off this race with 33 drivers that took the green. We've had about 4 massive, that of gridlock, traffic moments of massive carnage that have struck. We've had a lot of drivers that have had to call it a day. We are now down to just 10 drivers on the lead lap. Potentially, if we have another yellow and drivers aren't eliminated from this race, we could be down to just 11 drivers on the lead lap. But this restart can be so key. This is either your make it or break it restart, so you got to send everything you've got. Zach, what are you expecting to see here on this go?
I think we're about to see a lot of risky maneuvers here for positions. If Tom Bourne, I think Tom Bourne is going to be the one to watch out for here, because he's been so quick on the short runs tonight. If he can stay to the back bumper of the 4, get around the 86, he might have a chance.
Going to use the bump and run. Nick Crawford has had plenty of drivers come off of that nose, and he's trying to find himself in a victory lane. But will there be any payback thrown? Let's find out. 3 laps to go for that of the Lariat Productions Throwback 200, and it's already going to be Nick Crawford pulling ahead. Hicks is looking great, but here comes the run off the exit. Hicks already there. Bourne dives into the inside, trying to make the pass into 3. Tom Bourne has to get back in the throttle, but Hicks holds on.
He's with a big run off the top. He's going to dive into the inside here with 2 laps to go. Can Crawford hold on up top? He's going to try to have the run here off of turn 2.
Little bit of contact, they gotta hold on. Here comes a lap car. That's gonna be Danny Cochran. He's gonna be on the inside for their lead lap drivers as they're coming up to the white flag. This is it. It's gonna be your ride red white flag. Everything can happen. The gloves are off. Make the move. Get them out of the way. Nick Crawford, he's got plenty of space. He's pulling away, but for second, Tom Bourne's not close enough. Winning, it's Nick Crawford here at Bristol.
What a drive from the 4. Kept it up front all night. Had a little bit of controversy going through it with some contacts, but man, oh man, he wins it, and Hicks brings it home second, and Bourne battling back there for third. What a wild race here tonight at Bristol, and one that led to a first-time winner.
Nick Crawford is excited to get this one win. He's been so close so many times. But Zach, I mean, for this Ford machine, that nose has been beaten and battered and bruised and thrown all, and has plenty of drivers thrown it off of it. But tonight, I'm surprised that rear end is still holding up with the amount of drivers that could have came back for payback.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think, definitely a couple of those incidents are, just circumstantial, but yeah, you might have to answer a few questions for a few guys, but definitely a great run from this Ford machine, man.
As Nick Crawford gets to burn it down, we'll talk to our top 3. That is going to be Tom Bourne in 3rd, Nolan Hicks in 2nd. Nick Crawford gets the win here tonight. We will step aside, but don't leave. We'll be right back. It's the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, which, if we're talking about race car graveyards, we had plenty of trucks that are heading there tonight. As for the Larry Art Productions Throwback 200, it was a wild one. Third one's a charm for the Larry Arts Productions, as they have sponsored every single Bristol race for the ISRC, and it is... Tonight was a weird one. It was chaotic, it was a madness, but one driver that got a little bit of a taste of it to start things off. We got Tom Bourne with us. Tom, what a run for yourself, coming away third, almost able to get second, but you were involved with that first wreck, running into that of Mark Whitley. How much of that affected you throughout the night?
Just the car was fast overall. Just didn't felt like that left front damage was really hindering me on the long runs, and it was basically I had to turn the car more than I wanted to keep the speed up. And about 30 to 40 laps into a run, the car would just start to fall off a cliff. But overall, it was a solid comeback. Thankfully we didn't get much damage out of it, and just thankful that we were able to rebound for a third place.
Yeah, Tom, I tell you what, man, that was definitely a valiant rebound there for yourself, man. Coming in tonight, man, 31st in points. It's been a tough season. A lot of ups and downs there. First top three, though, this season. How do you feel to get the momentum rolling here at Bristol?
Overall, the season's been okay. I'm not gonna lie. The part that really put us back down in points was unfortunately work calling and me missing Sonoma. But you know what? We've got good, solid momentum. Pocono was a top 10. Just missed out on that top 5. Tonight, third place, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going into Atlanta and Las Vegas.
I know, Tom, we were kind of texting back and forth in the middle of this race whenever you were trying to get repairs on this 16. How was, though, your night as a whole with the iPacing 220?
Um, yeah, Bristol's always a track that ends up, pulling out the iPacing meme and everything.
Well, Tom, congratulations again.
You know what? The night was good. For what?
On surviving.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it was it was definitely a survival of the fittest. I think if we pit when everyone else did on that last caution, we would have been right up there, probably in the lead or at least up in the top 3 for the rest of the race. But you know what? Ultimately, the car was fast. I'm happy that we got to where we did, and I'm just excited to move on from Bristol because I do not have fun here.
Well, congratulations again on a third place finish. But before we let you and get you out of here, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, you guys putting on a great broadcast week in and week out. It's great working for you guys when I can, and ending up racing while you guys are broadcasting. Sky Motorsports putting together another great truck. The Ghost Energy Toyota Tundra was very fast. Hopefully, I got some good screen time. All my other sponsors, FRN, Player One Coffee, Fire News, Genesis Rescue Systems, and most of all, my amazing girlfriend, Melissa. She's finally woke up for the last part of the race. So, hopefully I was able to put on a show for that. But, yep. And like I said, you guys for putting on an amazing broadcast, and the league for having me back for another season. It's truly an honor.
Well, Tom, it's great to have you here, and congratulations for another time on third place, and good luck to the chaos that we know next week will be at the new Atlanta.
Thanks, guys.
We go from third place, we go to second place for a driver that thought they had a chance to win early on after some of the big chaos, but comes out tonight as our biggest mover. We got Nolan Hicks with us. Nolan, I mean, at one point we were thinking this race was yours, but what was going on with you out there in the cockpit of this thing?
Oh man, I thought I had it won too, but I threw away my race when I got a speeding pit road penalty, and then I was mad, so I was trying to come back up through there for those last 50 laps, and then I thought the second time my race was over was when Mark spun in front of me. I thought my race was done there. It was definitely a wild one for sure, and then man, I wanted to get to the 4, but I just didn't have anything for him.
Yeah, I tell you what, Nolan, that was an impressive run here tonight, man. The first 4 races this season, it's been kind of a tough one for you, but last week you're able to bounce back and get that 8th place finish here tonight to get a 2nd place finish at Bristol and lead some laps. How does that feel for building some momentum to get out of that 33rd position in points?
Yes, sir. It does feel good. I mean, I had Bristol circled as one that I could come out and win, so I'm glad to come out here with a 2nd place instead of DNF, like what, the first 3, 4 races this season. So yeah, it feels good to get a 2nd place, man.
I mean, if you look at the patterns, it's looking good for you, Nolan, heading into these next couple of weeks. After tonight, though, how much of this can you feel like take to other tracks that we're heading towards as we're going to Atlanta, Las Vegas, and Dover? Do you feel like you can take some of this momentum from Bristol to Dover in the next 3 weeks?
Oh, for sure. I love Dover and the trucks, and that's another one I got circled on the list. Hopefully, I can go out, lead some laps, and actually win this one this time.
Well, we're excited to see what you're going to bring here, Nolan. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank all the league admins for doing a fantastic job with what they do. You guys in the broadcast booth, Larry for hosting this race. I thought it was a cool throwback race. And lastly, I want to apologize to Brandon, who I got into, and I didn't mean to ruin his night. I was trying to roll it on the outside of him, and I just clipped him.
Well, Nolan, it was great to see you up front. And again, great job on getting a top three and a second place finish here tonight. And good luck as we head to Atlanta next week.
Thank you.
From second place, we go to Victory Lane, where we're going to be talking to a driver that had a lot of controversy at some moments during this race, some from his doing, others not. But certainly tonight, Nick Crawford came up and showed out in those last 30 laps here tonight. And I got to say, Nick, we got the Meerkats behind you. How was it having them distracting you throughout the night? And overall, how does it feel getting the win here for the ISRC?
Sometimes it's good to have a distraction, but it's a great feeling. I've had a lot of bad luck in this season, and just like our teammates, but it feels really nice. I almost don't believe it.
Yeah, Nick, I tell you what, congrats, buddy. You had us on the edge of our seats up here, and going back and looking at a few stats, it's your first league win, man, since February 19th of this year. So congrats on that to break a little bit of a drought there for yourself, and also your first career win with the truck in a league race. So how does that feel? And also, Bristol tonight, it just seemed like you were able to keep it up front all night long. What was the game plan kind of going in?
Yeah, I'm just glad it's not a super speedway, so it's actually a legit win. Again, it's just qualify up front, uh, hold people off. Running the bottom was the way to go. You save tires. Those guys on the top were fast, but if we got a long enough run, we were catching them. So miss the wrecks, stay up front, and really just pitting at the right time. We pit at the right time, and we didn't have any long runs at the end there, so even pitting after that wouldn't have worked. But yeah, it was pretty chaotic.
I mean, Nick, we saw a lot of drivers going off the nose of your truck throughout the night. How was that knowing that drivers sometimes they react in ways of not really seeing the full picture, or that it wasn't your fault at times? Were you nervous at all, thinking that someone's going to come back and try to get payback for going off your front bumper?
More than one? Who was the other ones? I know Mark, but I mean, that one I haven't looked at yet. I know I had the outside run, and it looked like he was gonna stay low, and it's. But I mean, I don't know what he was doing. He doesn't know what I was doing. I only remember Mark, but it's Bristol. People on the high line are getting runs. People on the bottom are diving low, and it's more about looking more than just looking out the front windshield. You got to look in the rear to. It's just a crazy track.
It certainly was. And for us in the booth, it was wild at all times. Couldn't imagine how it was like for you guys down there. But Nick, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
As always, got to thank the broadcasters for doing a great job. Even with a lot of yellows, you guys got to fill that dead space. And then also want to thank my teammates. They're very supportive. Even Norris, when he wasn't here, he still came in. And then also got to just thank the Meerkats. The Meerkats did it all for me. And then also my wife, she's really cool and she supports me. So yeah.
Well, Nick, congratulations on this win. It was incredible for us to watch, and good luck heading into the new Atlanta next week. As from Victory Lane, we get to go check out the looks at that of our race results, unofficial results. I mean, Zach, what a weird night this one was for the Larry Art Productions Throwback 200.
Yeah, I didn't think we'd be talking about meerkats. So that definitely was a word I didn't think was going to be brought up tonight's broadcast, but that was a great race, man. Nonetheless, with all the ups and downs, it was still just a classic ISRC finish.
It certainly was. We started with 33 drivers. Only 10 of them were able to stay on the lead lap, being won and led by Nick Crawford, Nolan Hicks in second, Tom Bourne in third, with Ollie Fonseca damaged, being battered and bruised, but comes away in fourth. Cedric Hunter in fifth. Then Trevor Earhart was able to rebound after an earlier incident for sixth. Cody Reedy was a lap down at one moment, up to seventh. Mark Morales, who was spun around at a time, up to eighth. Brendan Colley, ninth, and then 10th place going to be that of Jonathan Smith. But we look at the rest of the field, and even those that were in the top 10, I mean, Zach, it was just a full recovery after the lap one exit of turn 4 wreck that collected over half the field. Everyone was already set back at that point.
Yeah, I mean, literally, like you said, half the field was involved in it, and then 8 trucks were out of this thing. I mean, you look at Danny Cochran, Logan Brakey, Thomas Green, Ethan Smith. They were out of this thing at the very start of this race. So, yeah, just a tough night here at Bristol. But I tell you what, they got a tough schedule heading up too. So if you think your bumps and bruises are going to stop here tonight, I think you might want to prepare for the next few weeks.
Yeah, next few weeks, we've got that new Atlanta, the super speedway felt track. NASCAR, they built it out to want to be emulating super speedway racing. I've touched it a couple of times with next gen cars, trucks, and it is a monster of a track. We're going to be seeing 2-3 wide action at all times. The question is, how many trucks will be surviving at the end of the day? Tonight, only half of the drivers are able to make it to the end. How many will be left next week? And then Las Vegas in 2 weeks. A crown jewel event where you never know what's going to happen at that track. We've seen intentional wrecks. We've seen chaos in the last lap. You never know. And Zach, I think that's the one thing that's always exciting with the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. You truly never know. First season was rivalry. Second was chaos. And this season, anyone has an opportunity to win.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right about the never know part here with the ISRC. I mean, they continue week in and week out to do things that we kind of don't expect when it comes into the race. You got your favorites, you got your people who you think are going to do well, but things get thrown out the window when the green flag drops and certain situations come up, and it just shows you the drivers that are able to make their way through it, navigate their way there, and sometimes it even takes a little bit of luck. So, you got to have that on your side, be in the right position at the right time, and make it there at the end. And that's what Nick Crawford did tonight here in that number 4 machine. So congrats to him. And as they roll into these next 2 races of Atlanta and Las Vegas, I mean, definitely 2 marquee events. Atlanta just going to be crazy. And then Las Vegas, like we said, always seems to, have some type of spark to it. So these next 2 weeks only going to continue the fireworks that we've seen from here tonight. And I just cannot wait, Sam, man, as we near closer and closer to those playoffs.
Atlanta, Las Vegas, it marks the halfway for the regular season for the ISRC Truck Series, and for a lot of other series, they're just getting started as well. As for tonight, it was still the beginning of our 6 days in a row of coverage. We had that at 8:02 last night, then WSSR. Well, coming up for the rest of this week, we got the Full Send Racing Series, going to be at Kentucky tomorrow night. Then Wednesday, more super speedway racing action like we saw this past weekend. It's going to be Daytona for the Wicked Racing League. Then Thursday, Gateway for the Stars and Stripes. Then we get Friday and Saturday off as WSSR is on their off week. But the 802 Cup Series right back to their racing action at that of Kansas on Sunday. Then right back here next week, it is Atlanta for 150 laps of super speedway action at 1.5 miles. Who will survive? Time will tell. The one thing we do know is that tonight, Nick Crawford got himself into victory lane. Well, Zach, tonight was a crazy one, but I got to say, for the 4, I would imagine for the rest of the field as well, they're happy that tonight is done. For your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are definitely going to think that, Sam. They're saying, man, we're glad to be out of Bristol. And they're going to have that feeling for about, I'd say, the next couple hours. Then they're going to look at the schedule and say, man, what do we got next? I'm ready to go for next week. And then they're going to see Atlanta, and they're going to probably have a little bit of their hope to say, wow, we might have a little bit of trouble there next week, too. So, yeah, definitely going to be an interesting 2 weeks in a row. But, man, we cannot wait to always bring the action here on Freaky Fast, Sam.
We are so happy to give you the coverage here Monday night. One of the best leagues to cover, the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Race number 6 of the season comes to a conclusion as the 4 of Nick Crawford finds himself into victory lane. Needed a 3-lap shootout at the end and was able to hold off that of Nolan Hicks. But for us up in the booth, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting that gives you great coverage, I want to say thank you for joining us here tonight. Bristol is done, but Super Speedway Racing continues next week as it's going to be at Atlanta. And if we don't see you throughout this week, you're seeing any of our other coverages on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we hope to see you then. But for tonight, thanks for joining us, and have a good one, everybody.